I'm Jordan Montgomery, a performance coach and owner of Montgomery Companies, a full-scale coaching and consulting firm located out of the Midwest, but working with people all across the country. And this week, I have the privilege and the honor to be a part of the Jesse T Show. You know, I live in the middle of nowhere, God's country, southeast Iowa. So we live in Tiffin, Iowa to be exact, but work with folks across the country. I run a full-scale coaching and consulting firm, Montgomery Companies. My wife is in the business with me. So the joke is I run my mouth, she runs the business. It works out pretty well. We've got a team of coaches and consultants that works with executive leaders, salespeople, entrepreneurs, and athletes. And it's been a lot of fun, man. I had a background in financial services, pivoted into being full-scale entrepreneurs, 4 years ago, and have never looked back. So because of God's grace and a lot of good people around us, we've created opportunity and we're having a lot of fun. So that's me in a nutshell. Married, we have 3 little girls, and life is good.
It's great to hear, brother. And I got to ask, behind your head, it looks like Jordan jumping from the free throw line. Is that what's behind you?
It is, man. Very observant of you. Yes.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
That's the GOAT. Is he not? He's the GOAT, right?
No question. The other GOAT is now Tom Brady officially, but he's the GOAT for basketball.
There you go. There you go.
For sure. But I'm a huge Jordan fan, and obviously, you have the name, the first name. But growing up, were you a sports fan? It looks like basketball and different sports.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think sports has always been a part of my background. I grew up around basketball and football predominantly. And, when you live in the state of Iowa, there's nothing else to do. So
wrestle.
You have to follow sport. There's wrestling too. Right? I'm absolutely in wrestling country. University of Iowa has 24 national titles for those that don't know that. Most don't if you live outside the state of Iowa. But yeah, man, I think the competitive fire that comes from sports has always been attractive to me. I love the life lessons that sports teaches. So much of what I've learned has been from mentors and coaches that have worked with me either on the field or on the court. And today we get to work with a lot of athletes in that same way. So yeah, man, love sports for sure.
Talk a little bit about your trajectory from, when you first kind of got on your entrepreneurial path, and what were some of those pit stops along the way that brought you to today?
I think a lot of it has to do with mentorship, and the people in my life that created a vision through their example. And I was very fortunate to have some high-level leaders that are in the space that I'm in now that open doors. One of those people is a guy by the name of Ben Newman. And a conversation with Ben, I'm on my back porch, Jesse, it's 3:00 on a Friday afternoon, about 4 years ago. And I just shared that I felt like God had put something on my heart to do more speaking and more coaching and a different type of coaching that I had been doing. And Ben had built this business that to me was very impressive. And he said, man, I think if you do this over the next 90 days, you'll build a business. And it was really simple advice. Like there was nothing fancy. It was just like, hey, make a certain amount of phone calls, reach out to some people, send some emails. But I did that. And again, because of good people and God's grace, we had a business after 90 days. And
wow.
I think in that there was certainly a lot of nerves. And there was a lot of times where I didn't look cool. Like I had come from a world where I was kind of the cool guy that had it figured out, right? Like I had eaten the proverbial shit sandwich and swallowed it whole. But when you step out and do something new, it means you got to eat the shit sandwich all over again. And so here I was, like going to make this pivot. And I battled my ego to make that pivot, right? It was something new. And I remember I had a friend in the early stages of starting our business. He said, hey, I want you to know that the title of your company is Montgomery Companies, but it's just you. And then he said, right? Like he was asking a question, but he was sort of antagonizing me, kind of in a fun way, but he's also being serious. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like you got this Montgomery Companies, like plural. It's just you. And I remember telling my friend, I said, man, I built this for the future. I didn't build it for today. I've got a big vision for what we want to create. And then we just got to work on that vision, Jesse. So it hasn't been without some pain and some setback, but we have been so fortunate. And I feel like I get to do the work every day that I was created to do. And I'm so thankful for that opportunity.
So when you exited, I guess, your career and started on day one with Montgomery Companies, the intent was to be where you're at now in terms of being of service, coaching, mentoring, leading, inspiring others. What was that first 90 days like in terms of developing an offering and attracting clients and just kind of the bare bones? Because a lot of people listen to the show, they may be in transition as well. And they may be in transition from going from the 9 to 5 to independent entrepreneur. So I think there's some nuggets of wisdom that you might be able to share based on your experience.
Well, I think it's the adage of, we overestimate what we can accomplish in a year and we underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. But if you break that down, right, the same could be said about a month and 3 months, right? Or 3 months and 6 months. Like, I think initially I overestimated what I could do in the first 30 days and I underestimated what I could do in 90 days. And I had to learn patience. I'm not a very patient person. And I struggled with the pace of how things were happening, even though they happened very quickly. In my mind, they weren't happening quickly enough. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of creatives, they get tired too soon. I had a conversation with a friend, her name is Sarah Henning. And I said, Sarah, I got to make a decision. I'm trying to pivot, but like I'm doing 2 things at once and I'm having this identity crisis and I don't know what to do. And she said, there's nothing to do.